5-year contract. The money was there. The contract was signed. The client was happy. And then the money was gone. Welcome to today's Aligned Business Series. My name is Acacia Thornton, the CEO Legal Coach, and today I am telling you a real life story about one of my clients who lost 5 years worth of revenue over a single sentence that was in her contract template. And unfortunately, this is a story that I have more than one client that this has happened to over the years. And it really happens a lot when you've ever gotten a template that you've used from somewhere else. Maybe you found one online. AI helped you create one, got one from ChatGPT. There's a common sentence that's in there. And this sentence is an absolute revenue killer because here's the thing. If the client can stop the contract, they can stop your revenue. So let's dive into this harrowing but easily avoidable. That's the key here. This is easily avoidable, and I'm going to show you how to avoid that today. So what happened? My client was one of those, she licensed her products. So it was something that most of the work was done up front for her clients, a little bit of customization, a little bit of onboarding, and then there'd be a license over the term of 5 years. And that's what she had with this client. So this client comes in, they agree to 5 years of pricing, 5-year term, everything is in the contract that says 5 years. Milestones, deliveries, everything. So both parties sign, and what does she do? She customizes the product and sends it over. The customer is using it, all is good. And then the customer decided to look at the termination clause in the contract. And a majority of generic contracts out there have a generic termination clause that usually says something like either party may terminate this agreement at any time by giving 30 days written notice. Very, very common. That's the standard. Sometimes you see less and in notification time, like I might see in 7 days notice, but this one had 30 days notice. And so the customer was able to come along, send her an email. This is our notice to you per the contract, and therefore we would like to terminate this agreement in 30 days. And that was that. The client had her product, but the revenue stopped. It stopped because the contract allowed this. Nobody breached, nobody was unhappy, nobody anything, no issue. But because of a termination clause that was generic that said the customer can just give 30-day notice, that is what they did. And that made it legal. This was a legal action that the customer took. They had the right to do it because it was agreed to in that contract. And that's what makes it so difficult is my client ended up losing 5 years or close to 5 years of projected income, right? That was on her books. She had planned for that. She was all excited and happy, thinking she closed a big deal. She also lost the value of her upfront time and those commitments, those costs that she took on in the beginning, thinking that she would recoup them over the life of the contract. And then, of course, with the sentence like that in the agreement, there was nothing she could do about this. It was legally active. It was legally enforceable for them to have that termination clause. And that meant her stability was gone. And not just her revenue stability, but like her footing as a business owner. And it shook her. And it shook her confidence as well, because then she became afraid. Do you really want to get that excited? Do you want to give to your clients like this for them to take it away? What can we do? It's a very easy fix. Very, very, very easy fix. And so if this hits too close to home for you, don't worry. We are just about there to tell you how to fix this. But before we do, I want to let you know this is part of the Aligned Business Series, completely free series. We're going to do this 3 times a week, giving real life stories and real life actions for your business agreements. And if you want to check that out, the upcoming topics, as well as see any of the replays, or get them in the inbox, you can go ahead and I think at the bottom of your screen right now, there's a website going that'll just show you where all of that is. Okay, so if you have a generic contract template and this is in there, it's really dangerous because not only is it in there for one of your clients, it means it's in there for all of your clients. And this is a big deal because not only could you have one customer come along and cancel unexpectedly, like my client did, but what if a whole bunch of them do? And that's one thing about termination is that usually either one customer is having an issue payments aren't going right, they're having budget issues, they have a new owner, new management, right? Just something's going on with that specific customer. Or it's something that's impacting the industry. And when it's something that's impacting the industry, that means multiples of your customers are likely to use the termination clause at the same time. Meaning a whole bunch of your clients can walk right out the door with little to no notice and legally stop paying you. It doesn't matter where you are in your deliverables, in your timelines. If they cancel, it's over. So what do you want to do? Okay, a termination clause is one of those clauses that does need to be customized for your business. And because it's a business thing, you do not need a lawyer for it. You don't need a lawyer for this. Although somebody experienced in contracts, a lawyer or otherwise, is going to have a better idea of the things to look for and how to write them. And what are some of those things? Some of them are a minimum commitment period. You want to definitely make sure you're getting so much money back before there's a chance for it to walk out the door. You want to have so much notice period. You also want to make sure that there's a way to recover your costs for whatever you put in, especially like my client, where most of her work and her costs and everything was up front. So those back ends would have been great if she had them. She would have had little to no effort or work to do to get them because it was all done at the front. But because of the way the payments were over 5 years, that didn't happen for her. Then, of course, you also want to have what I like to call triggers. What can and can't trigger termination? The type of clause that we just saw, the generic one, customer or either party may terminate this agreement upon 30-day notice. There's no limitation as to when. What triggers it? Does somebody have to breach? Does somebody have to merge, be acquired? Does something have to go wrong? Making sure that these types of things are built into that. And that's one of the reasons that Module 3 of my Align Clients Paid with Purpose program exists. That program, Align Clients Paid with Purpose, is all about 3 main clauses to have better revenue and relationships with your customers. And this is one of them, because you don't want a great customer walking out the door, especially for an unknown reason. So Module 3 is going to walk you through. You're going to have a worksheet that's going to walk you through every single one of these and how to get your money back. And then what you're going to do is you're going to copy paste them into plug and play clauses. And you literally just copy paste those right into your agreement. Just take them, copy, paste them right into your agreement so you don't have to draft anything. No drafting whatsoever. You just make some basic business decisions based on that worksheet. So if that's of interest to you, I'm going to have that on the screen here in a moment. And what is important, though, is that you understand when you're taking a generic template. It doesn't matter where you got it. Honeybook, you might have gotten it from a legal website or wherever. Until it's customized for you, it can't represent you. It can't support and hold you and your way of doing business. So that's really important, especially when it comes to your revenue. All right, so we've got that up. If you want to do that, now it's time for our live Q&A. Let me see what questions there are. I've already seen some in the chat. Let me get into here. Oh, the website isn't up. Give me a second. Give me a second to get the website if you wanted to. There it is. If you want to get the schedule or hear this replay, any of that, that's all on this website, ceolegalcoach.com/aligned business series. That's for all of these lives happening 3 times a week. Cool. Thank you. All right. Okay. Other questions. Can I change a termination clause on an existing client contract? Okay. So first is go update your template. Go update the template so that it's not in anything ever again, right? And then for your ongoing current ones, you can always update an existing ongoing contract by what's called an amendment. So an amendment does need to be signed by both parties because everybody agreed to everything on the first side, right? Everybody signed that contract to make it valid. Now any changes to it, everybody needs to re-sign. But as long as your clients are okay with those changes, or you find a way, maybe you want to change that and you give them something in return, hey, 10% discount if you do this, or we'll extend your contract for 3 years at a 10% discount if we get this amendment to change the termination clause. Those types of things, more than welcome to do that. Only thing is, must be an amendment signed by both parties. So that's how you would change an active contract if you have one already signed and going. But first and foremost, go change your templates. Go update your templates. Is this necessary if I offer payment plans? So a termination clause is meant to represent you and how you do business. So if you're getting your money back and you don't mind if a client walks out the door with little or no notice or for no reason, that's okay. It's up to you and how you want to do business. So offering your payment plans, realize that even though they have a payment plan, if they can terminate the contract, they can affect the payment plan, because it's the contract that the payment is for. So the payment plan alone does not prohibit this from happening. It's the contract, what was agreed to in that exchange, product, services for that value of those payments. So that's what is important. And then how you want that, your payment structure to align to that is totally up to you. Is this covered in your program, or do I need a lawyer? No, you absolutely do not need a lawyer for anything in any of my programs. And it actually goes to any jurisdiction. 99% of the jurisdictions around the world, Europe, United States, Canada, these clauses are absolutely valid. They're legally valid. You're allowed to do this yourself. You don't need a lawyer to do it. I know I've represented companies from all over the world because this is part of the business agreement. Just like you don't need a lawyer to say what your pricing is or what your products are, this is part of that. So you don't need a lawyer for that. You can absolutely do this yourself. Yes, like I said, module 3 of the Aligned Clients Paid with Purpose program will walk you through the exact things to think about in your revenue, what you want to do, because there's a few different ways you can get your money back in a termination clause. Everything from percentage fees, termination fee, just a flat rate, just a lot of different options, and it'll quickly walk you through those. You also get a video, so you can absolutely do this yourself, and you don't have to be an expert. You just need to know your business, because that's what this is for. Yeah. Can I legally enforce a no termination clause? Say no termination whatsoever. Nobody's allowed to terminate. You can. You don't have to have a termination clause at all. Termination clauses, though, can be good for your business, because sometimes you want to be able to get out of the contract. I had a client who, one of my Fortune 500 clients, they had a 5-year contract, and then somebody else who was a much bigger player in the industry came along and wanted to give them like 9 times the money, but they had to give them exclusivity. Well, you can't give somebody exclusivity if you're in a contract. And so this other contract didn't have the ability for them to terminate. Yeah, it became a big thing. They had to we got to get really creative with that one. So can you have no termination whatsoever? Absolutely. You absolutely can. But it is in the party's interest usually to have something, because you also wouldn't want your customers to be bankrupt or going through bankruptcy, and you still have to give them stuff because they couldn't terminate. So it's about when. Back to what are the triggers? Are you going to get your money back? The other considerations. But do you have to have one? And can you say no termination? Absolutely. Yeah. How do I know if my current contract already includes this? Okay. It's usually under the word terminate or termination. So just do like a Control F or search for a word, termination in your template. It's that simple. 99% of the time, that's what it's going to be under. Sometimes it'll be like the contract could end, but that's really bad drafting. If somebody wrote it like that, please don't use that template. But yeah, just search for the word terminate or termination. All right, guys. This has been Acacia, the CEO Legal Coach. I am so excited because we are back tomorrow with another great story. Which one is this one? How to stop clients from no-showing or canceling last minute. I know this one affects a lot of you, so I'm excited to share those stories because we've had some great success with some of my clients, and I will see